With AEW advised to release talent and sign Sasha Banks, this is Wrestling Hub. My name is John, and you're watching the Wrestling Report for June 29th. Before we get into the rest of the video, make sure you subscribe to Wrestling Hub and turn on all notifications to stay up to date with everything in the world of pro wrestling. Also, don't forget to follow us on Instagram at Wrestling Hub Official and follow us on Twitter at Wrestling_Hub. Recalling how long she spoke with AEW officials following a release from WWE, Athena told NBC Sports Boston it was like a 6-month, are we interested? Are you interested? Because I think when I left, I didn't know if I wanted to continue wrestling. I just knew that I loved watching the AEW product at home. I had a couple matches on the indies and those blew up. Shane Strickland, Taya Valkyrie, Mia Yim, and it just kept getting more and more traction. I think we finally just kind of hit the double tap on the phone call and it was like, yeah, let's figure out something. Let's do this. Known for his time in WWE as Darren Young, Fred Rosser recently spoke on the Comedy Store podcast about wanting to return to NXT as a coach. I would love to. I would really love to. I remember when Laurinaitis took over, he called me up and asked me. He hired me in 2009. When he took over for Mark Carrano, he asked me how I was doing. I'm doing well. I'm with New Japan. Yeah, I used to work for All Japan. I'm doing well. I'm doing my thing. I would love to. I would love to go back to NXT because that's where I started. I was on the original season of NXT, so going back and helping elevate talent, time ain't on our side. I'm 38. I want to push it until the wheels come off, but who knows? I remember seeing Norman Smiley during WrestleMania in Dallas and he said, would you ever come back as a trainer? Yeah, I'd come back as a trainer, but I'm not ready for it. You're not going to pull the plug on me. I still have more to do in wrestling. I would love to be a coach or anything like that. Speaking how he was paid off of attendance during his time in WWE, William Regal noted which WWE legend made him the most money because of this. I've been lucky to ride off the coattails of a huge amount of people. I've rode on the coattails of all the top people in WCW. I was lucky enough to be on the shows with Steve Austin and The Rock and The Undertaker, Shawn Michaels, Triple H, and all these incredible people. There's nobody that has made me as much money as John Cena. A lot of these fellas came and they were huge, incredible, massive stars for a few years, for 3 or 4 years. And they're still huge massive stars, but they all went in different directions. John stayed the course. During an interview with Wrestling Inc., former AEW champion Hangman Page spoke about his match at Double or Nothing against CM Punk, where the Second City Saint attempted and slipped up on 2 buckshot lariats, Hangman's finisher. It made me feel better about myself that I can do it, I know that. Grabbing the ropes and flipping over like that and landing on your feet and hitting the guy in the face is hard on any day at any time, much less, 20 minutes into a match. And I think that made me have a little more appreciation and pride in the ability to do it. It doesn't surprise me that he couldn't do it, and that's not a knock on him because it's a tough thing to do, and it's something I've done for a long time. I've had time to sharpen it. He hasn't. So I don't know that I have the best go to sleep in the world either. Certainly not as good as his because he beat my ass with it. With many fans believing that former WWE star Bray Wyatt's Fiend character lost most of its momentum at Super Showdown in 2020 where they lost to Goldberg, Eric Bischoff defended this decision by the company, saying this was done to give the fans in Saudi what they wanted. I can give you about 39,999,000 reasons why this was a decent idea. It was all about business. $40 million. And I know what wrestling fans are thinking. Oh my god, it's all about the money. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, it's all about the money. You're going to give the customer what the customer wants for $40 million. You're the chairman of the board of a publicly held company. You're going to have to answer to your shareholders because you turned down $40 million because you didn't want a character to lose? $40 million? That's a class action lawsuit. You gotta do what you gotta do. If a character's strong, and Bray was, that loss isn't going to matter. A strong character can take a loss. Now granted, that character is a very unique one. Had to be handled in a very unique way, but it could have been possible to do it. Let's assume that loss to Bill Goldberg for the sake of argument in Saudi absolutely caused Bray Wyatt to hit a roadblock. Brick wall, boom, crash. Does that cost you more than $40 million? Also on a show, Bischoff spoke about the run of Kevin Owens in WWE, saying they together have done an amazing job of elevating Kevin Owens to a point where he's going to be a much bigger name in WWE 2 years from now than he is now, and he's already a big name. With it unknown if KO is ready to compete at Money in the Bank after missing Raw this week, we'll have to wait and see what happens. With Cody Rhodes returning to WWE after 6 years away, he is currently out of action recovering from injury. While fans are hoping for a Royal Rumble comeback for the American Nightmare, Booker T took to his Hall of Fame podcast to praise Rhodes, saying, "I wanted to work with Cody Rhodes. I wanted to have my last match in the WWE with Cody. I always thought Cody was at the same level as Seth Rollins, Batista, and all of that other group that came out, John Cena, and all of that. I always thought Cody was just as talented." When reports broke earlier in the year that WWE would be interested in signing Wardlow when he's done with AEW, the star has now had this to say about possibly jumping ship during a virtual signing with KNS WrestleFest. "I'm very, very happy where I am. I never say never about anything in life, but as of right now, I'm very happy where I am." With the Dark Order, Stu Grayson, and now Alan Angels being quietly released by AEW, fans have gone on social media to react to the company seemingly dismantling the group. We all make jokes about WWE wishing people best on their future endeavors, but at least we know what's happening. People just disappearing is worse, especially for a well-loved, organic team like the Dark Order. I've been so excited about a lot of AEW's big signings, but it really hurts to see what's happening to the Dark Order. They were the heart and soul of the Daily's Place era, and I really feel like TK dropped the ball on these guys. A very rare misstep in AEW's brief history. They really ran out of use for Dark Order. They're dropping like flies. Just rebrand the remaining guys at this point. Alan Angels is still on the AEW roster page, and he hasn't said if he's gone from the company, so I'm gonna hold off on my full thoughts for now. But if AEW were continuing to lose members of the Dark Order, one of the hottest acts in the company last year, this screams incompetence. Dark Order should have been something big, like literally. After Hangman won, they didn't know what to do with him anymore. It's looking like Alan Angels is gone or leaving AEW. It's a shame what has happened to the Dark Order in the last year. On his podcast, Kurt Angle recalled Vince McMahon telling him prior to their King of the Ring match in 2002 to intimidate Hulk Hogan. "Vince told me beforehand, I want you to get out of your seat and put your nose this close to Hulk Hogan's nose." I'm like, why do you want me to do this? It's Hulk Hogan. What he's trying to do is intimidate Hulk, and you can't intimidate Hogan. He's a freaking badass. But the crazy thing is, Vince wanted me to get out of my seat and get real close to his face like I was threatening him. It was ridiculous. Talking to NBC Sports Boston, Kurt Angle spoke about Chad Gable, revealing why he thinks the star is being held back in WWE. Well, he's a great talent. He's very talented, and I think the reason is his size. He's probably 170 pounds, 5'8". I think that bears a little bit on the reason why he's not being pushed as much as he should. But I think he is an amazing talent. I think WWE can do a lot with him. He's very technical, he has a lot of charisma. He's a talented kid, and I think he would do extremely well if the company pushed him. Kurt Angle also recently recreated his infamous promo segment with John Cena during the latter's SmackDown debut, as he's done this outside of his home with his daughter. Here's the video.
Alright, I'm issuing an open challenge to anyone in the house that wants to come out here and face me like a man. Come on, somebody gotta wanna face Kurt Angle. Alright, I promise, I'll take it easy on you. Who the hell are you?
I'm Sophia Angle.
Sophia Angle, huh? And what quality do you possess that makes you think you can come out to this driveway and face the very best in this house?
What is aggression?
with a report recently claiming that Sasha Banks and Naomi are still listed internally on the WWE roster following their walkout. Disco Inferno talked about the prospect of Sasha potentially heading to AEW, as he said this on Keeping It 100. Well, I would get rid of a bunch of people in AEW and bring Sasha Banks in. That's what I would do. I would want to bring her in, but I would want to cut the fat of the people I brought in that I'm not doing anything with. I'll just let them go. You know, Tony Khan should offer people the release right now, because I guarantee you there's going to be tons of people on that show that are not happy with creative at all, because they're doing nothing with them. You know, if he offered them a release, I wonder, you know, if that would free up some money. Talking about his Blackpool Combat Club stablemate, interim AEW champion Jon Moxley had high praise for the American Dragon, saying during the Forbidden Door post-show media scrum, "In my book, Bryan Danielson is the greatest professional. People say like Tanahashi is one of the greatest ever. Jericho is the GOAT, you know, just for my money, my opinion, the greatest professional to ever live, to ever do it in the ring is Bryan Danielson." Speaking about the possibility of AEW booking themselves into a corner, Road Dogg said on his Oh You Didn't Know podcast, "I think when you have to have a clean finish in every match, I think that's more detrimental than throwing the match out because they fought outside. Using the win-loss record like they do in AEW, at some point you're going to book yourself into a corner there, because everybody needs to be able to be beaten, and everybody needs to be able to win. Clean finishes are just not good for everybody. Can't we just tell the story and not do that?" And this was your pro wrestling news update. I hope you're all having a great day. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you later.